All right, let's look at how to evaluate these things without a calculator. So now the fun begins. Okay, now there's obviously different ways to do this. You just have to know how to do it in one of the ways. Like I'm not going to tell you to use the unit circle or use the triangle or use whatever. Like you get to choose. Personally, I was taught with the triangle, so that's kind of what I default to. Um, but you can use whatever method you were taught. You know, pick your favorite one and go for it. Okay, so arc sine of root 3 over 2. So what you can do is you can draw a triangle. And remember with arc sine, the range is negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. So when you draw your triangle, it's either going to be in quadrant 1 or in quadrant 4. So if it's positive, that means you're drawing it in quadrant 1, and you can still use this to label up your sides. So that would be opposite over hypotenuse, which makes this side over here a 1. So you've got a 30, 60, 90 triangle. That means 60 degrees. And you're looking for the angle that's in the triangle in this case, which would be your 60, but we're always going to default to radians. So that would be pi over 3. So that's one way to do it. Another way is to kind of flip it around. So if you're not comfortable with working with inverse trig functions, you know, sometimes you're more comfortable with the regular trig functions. So just flip it around. Just go, okay, well, sine of what is equal to that root 3 over 2. Some people like it better this way because it just makes more sense in their head. Just remember that whatever you're going to put into this question mark has to be in quadrant 1 or quadrant 4 and be between negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. So either way you go, or if you know a different way, you know, totally use it. You get the same answer pretty much whatever method you choose. Okay, part B, arc cosine of a negative half. Arc cosine is in quadrants 1 and 2, and since it's negative, that's going to throw it into quadrant 2. So label up your sides. So adjacent over hypotenuse, so that's the root 3. 30, 60, 90 again with the 60 there. And if you're in quadrant 2, you can't take the exact angle in the triangle. It's about what rotates over there. So like that green angle is the one you're looking for, which would be, everyone said, that's right, 2 pi over 3, because that would be your 120. And that's pretty much kind of it. So if we do the arc tangent, it's positive, so you're going to be in quadrant 1. It's a whole number, but remember you can always write it over a 1. So adjacent or opposite over adjacent. So that's a root 2. So that's a 45, 45, 90 triangle. So pi over 4. And again, you can flip it around if you want. Go tangent of what equals 1. So it just kind of depends. Some people do both methods. Some people do 3 methods. It just kind of depends on what they see and how they see it and when and so on and so forth. Okay, let's look at this one. This one actually is a little bit different in 2 ways. So if we looked at the negative root 3 over 3, this fraction doesn't match up to a 30, 60, 90 triangle or a 45, 45, 90. And that's because it's been rationalized. So with this fraction, if you unrationalize it, so negative 1 over root 3, now that's actually going to get you somewhere. So if you did the triangle, and since it's negative, I'm going to be down in quadrant 4. Now you can label up your sides and it will make sense. So opposite over the adjacent, hypotenuse would have to be 2. So that's a 30, 60, 90 again with the angle of 30. So in this time, I don't want the angle that actually rotates all the way around there, because then it would not fit in the range, because that would be 11 pi over 6, which is not in the range of your inverse tangent. So if you're ever in quadrant 4, if you're going, well, how do I adjust that? To adjust it, just rotate in the opposite direction. Just go clockwise, which means that your answers are just going to be negative. And it's going to be the negative of what angle is sitting actually inside the triangle. So negative pi over 6. So quadrant 4, sometimes it looks scary, but it's really not. You just take whatever angle that's right there and just make it negative and you're done. Okay. Inverse sine of 0. If you try to draw a triangle with this, that's obviously not going to work out too well. So this is where you're on a coordinate axis. And in this case, that would be straight out here. So that angle would be 0. And again, you can flip it around. So like sine of what is equal to 0? Well, 0. This one, if you kind of do that same approach of flipping and doing it backwards, cosine of what is equal to 0? Like, what do you plug into cosine to make it 0? Pi over 2. All right, part G. Again, you have to unrationalize it. So negative 1 over root 2. So now you can flip it. You can draw the triangle, use the coordinates off the unit circle, either way. So no matter what method you choose, you should get 3 pi over 4. This one, again, you can flip, or sorry, unrationalize it, negative 1 over root 2. And that would end up as negative pi over 4. Okay, so that's kind of it in a nutshell. So let me stop the video here, and then we're going to get into trig functions combined with inverse trig functions.